Hey, Chiefs Kingdom, we got a competition going on this week at Chat Sports, and specifically with our Raiders Report YouTube channel. F the Raiders, by the way. One person on one of Mitch's videos earlier this week on the Raiders Report commented 100 separate times, and they set a comments record on that channel. So, who's going to top it? Who's going to comment 101 or more times on today's video? You can type 1, enter 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. You can type FLV if you hate the Raiders. Get as many comments on this video as possible. Let's set a record and beat the Raiders Report. You're watching the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I'm Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's video. I want to start off today's show with a little draft target, a potential draft target for Kansas City. Quentin Johnston, the TCU wide receiver, reportedly met with Kansas City on Monday in KC for a draft visit, a top 30 visit. Of course, we've talked wide receiver a bunch here on this channel this offseason. Chiefs still in need of getting that top flight guy, and maybe Quentin Johnston could be the answer. Ian Rappaport was the one who had the report of this top 30 visit. He also met with the Cowboys on Tuesday. He's now flying to Baltimore to meet with the Ravens on Thursday. So that's kind of where he's at in his process. You've probably seen, if you follow these, big NFL analysts or reporters on Twitter, a lot of draft visits. That's kind of the big news right now. I would love QJ in KC. Obviously, I'm a TCU alum. Like most of you guys know, I've watched Quentin Johnston several times in person, so I can offer a little more perspective on him than some other guys that we'll talk about on this channel. And he's a very unique player. I mean, you look at his rise in college, kind of bursted onto the scenes early. Didn't get a ton of opportunities his freshman year, but still averaged well over 20 yards per catch, had 22 for 487 and 2 touchdowns that year. Had a breakout campaign in 2021, 33 for 634 and 6 scores. 6 scores again this year, but really took off, almost doubled his catches from the year before, over 1,000 yards, had 6 touchdowns, and that was while nursing an ankle injury throughout most of the season. He was still able to be productive, had a huge game against Michigan in the college football playoff semifinal game to help TCU reach the national championship. And we'll talk about here in a moment why I think he would be a fun player in this offense in terms of his skill set and what I think he brings to the table to pair with a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Should the Chiefs draft Quentin Johnston? What do you guys think? Type D for draft, P for pass. I don't know if he'll be there at 31. You may have to move up a few spots for him. I think he could go as high as 12 to 15 and as low as late in the first round. I think somewhere in there is the range for him. D for draft or P for pass. Now, you look at this depth chart, and you don't really have a player like this on your team. Now, Marcos Valdes-Scantling has size and speed combination, but he's kind of limited, right? Like, he's a deep ball guy. That's really all he does. Quentin Johnston can challenge teams vertically, but he also can do things that Kadarius Toney and Mecole Hardman could do, which is underneath stuff and give you yards after the catch, which is very unique at his size. You look at his relative athletic score, this coming from MathBomb, which is a great follow on Twitter. They have a bunch of these charts on these prospects. Green is elite, yellow is good, red is not is below average relative to other players at that position. Height, almost 6'3", over 200 pounds, great in the vertical and broad, sub 4.5 40-yard dash, for which at his size is excellent, good in the 20 and the 10 as well. His three-cone wasn't great. It was similar to that of DK Metcalf's, which freaked people out, but DK Metcalf has had a great career so far in Seattle. What makes Quentin Johnston so interesting to me, especially for this team, is Patrick Mahomes has never played with a receiver like this. He's never had a guy at 6'3", over 200 pounds that, yeah, he can high point the football and go vertically. He can do that, but you can throw him the ball in space underneath, and he'll make you miss in space, which is very unique at that size. He's great after the catch. He's twitchy. I like him quite a bit. Occasionally, he has a drop issue, so that's something, you want to see him clean up a little bit. I'm sure he's been hitting the jugs machine a lot in this pre-draft process, but I would like to add him into the fold. I think he's got number one wide receiver potential, and the good news about bringing him here is he doesn't have to be that right away. You can just kind of throw him into the mix here and let him get some opportunities. Before we jump to our next story here, speaking of the draft hats, we still have some available, but clock is ticking if you want to get one before the NFL draft. Chatsports.com/Chiefs draft hats. That is the link to go to pick up one of these today. The two different kind of color combinations here, but available in 3 hat styles. You got the snapbacks, the fitted, the non-fitted, the curve bill style as well versus the flat bill. Chatsports.com/Chiefs draft hats. Check the comments, check the description for that link, or just search that link in your browser, and you will be able to pick up a Chiefs draft hat today. And to be quite frank, these are the best draft hats they've dropped in the last several years, so I would encourage you guys to go get one right now. Okay, let's talk about Cedrick Wilson, Ced Wilson, if you will. That's what he likes going by now. Dolphins wide receiver, they gave him a 3-year, $23 million deal before last season. Well, report out there that they are willing to trade him after he had a disappointing 2022 season. It's just bizarre kind of what happened here. You look at his last season in Dallas and then his first season in Miami here. On the left of your screen with Dallas, that's what got him a nice little payday. 3 years, $23 million. He had 45 catches on 61 targets, over 600 yards and 6 touchdowns as a number 3 receiver next to Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. And so you're thinking, okay, so he'll sign elsewhere, get a bigger opportunity. Well, Miami ends up trading for Tyreek Hill, and he kind of just gets lost in the fold behind Hill, Jalen Waddle, Trent Sherfield, and some other guys. Only has 12 catches on 18 targets despite playing in 15 games. Just never got going with Tua. I'm not really sure why. Now, did the Dolphins probably overpay for Cedrick Wilson? I think so. That was probably an overpay. He's really only had 1 year where he's had consistent production, and that was that last season in Dallas. But I expect more than 12 catches out of Cedrick Wilson. I think he can be like a nice little number 3 receiver for a team. He's a good slot route runner, so I am a little surprised. But I'm not surprised that the Dolphins are shopping him because obviously, they saw him up close and did not have much use for him this past year. Now, you ask yourself, okay, could the Chiefs be interested? It would obviously be more of a fallback option compared to some of these other receivers that they've been linked to. Okay, what are the cap implications? Well, it's not the best, right? I mean, if you trade for him this year, his $7 million cap hit, that cap doesn't really matter because if you're trading for him, you're going to at least have him on your team this year. You could get out of it next year only with a $1 million dead cap penalty, but that's still too expensive to me. Over $7 million for the next 2 years against the cap. Like, if you're the Chiefs, you got to be very articulate with what contracts you're taking on, and I'd almost rather go a little higher for a better player, right? Like, you could probably sign Odell Beckham with a less cap hit. So I just don't think for Kansas City, Cedrick Wilson's going to make a ton of sense. I think Miami might be grasping for straws because I don't know if anyone's going to trade for that contract. Maybe Cedrick Wilson would have to take a pay cut to help have a trade process go through. Would you trade for Cedrick Wilson? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I don't think I would, even though I don't think it would cost much in draft capital. It's just the $7 million cap hit. I'd rather use that money elsewhere. So I'm going to type my N for no, but let me know what you guys think. Let's get to 42,000 subscribers here on the Chiefs Report. We're 790 away. I keep telling you, if we get to 42,000 before the NFL draft, we will do a live fan-led mock draft where you guys get to make all of the selections here live on the Chiefs Report. I want to see what you guys would do at pick 31. Would you trade that pick? Would you keep it? So let's try and get there. 42,000 subs to do a live fan-led mock. Okay. Odell Beckham, every few videos, we got to get caught up on the latest. When new info comes out, is OBJ still an option for Kansas City? Well, Pro Football Focus thinks so. Brad Spielberger of PFF says that he believes the Chiefs are the most ideal fit for OBJ. Again, he's had injury problems, did not play at all last year, also tore his ACL in 2020. I mean, he's got 2 ACLs in less than 3 years of time. Hasn't had a 1,000-yard season since that 2019 campaign with Cleveland. There's also a report out there that the Baltimore Ravens have offered Odell Beckham Jr. a contract. Unclear what those contract details are in terms of what they offered, but I think a couple of things have become clear to me. Here's what I think when it comes to OBJ. I think he's going to wait for a couple of things to happen. One, I think the Jets are interested, and I think he's going to wait and see when that Aaron Rodgers situation is finalized. Do they cut or trade Corey Davis? Does him going there make sense? I think he's going to let kind of the Packers-Jets situation settle before signing with the team. And then I think at this point, too, in addition to that, I think he's going to wait until the NFL draft concludes. I could be wrong. He could sign in 5 minutes. I don't know. But I just get the feeling that a lot of the bigger name free agents at this point, especially Odell Beckham Jr., you kind of get to a point in free agency where you're like, okay, I'm going to wait until after the draft and see what teams make sense for me or you or whoever that player is, and I think OBJ certainly fits the mold of that. So what do you guys think? Fill in the blank. Odell Beckham will play for the blank in 2023. Do you think it's the Chiefs? Do you think it's the Jets? Do you think it's the Giants? Does he go to the Cowboys? Let me know down in the comment section below what team you think OBJ will play for. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon here on the Chiefs Report.